It was supposed to be one of the happiest moments in our lives. I was at work when my phone buzzed. It was a message from my wife, Amanda. Water broke. Heading to the hospital. It's time. Red heart, my heart raced. I dropped everything and drove like a madman to the hospital. We'd been married for 5 years. We'd struggled to conceive, and after 2 painful miscarriages, this baby felt like a miracle. But I had no idea I was heading straight into a nightmare. When I got to the hospital, Amanda was already in the delivery room. The nurses ushered me to the waiting area. A few hours later, a nurse stepped out, smiling. "Congratulations, Dad. It's a healthy baby girl." Tears welled in my eyes. I rushed in. But the moment I saw the baby, I froze. She was beautiful. But she didn't look anything like me. Amanda smiled weakly from the hospital bed. "Isn't she perfect?" she whispered. I nodded slowly, heart pounding, mind racing. I told myself I was being paranoid. Babies change, right? But something didn't sit right. Then came the real shocker. A nurse walked in with a clipboard and said, "We just need the father to sign the birth certificate." Amanda looked at me expectantly. I stepped forward, and paused. My hand trembled above the paper. I looked at Amanda. "Why don't we wait?" I said, forcing a smile. "I just want to make sure everything's perfect." She hesitated. "What do you mean?" I met her eyes. "Amanda, we need to talk. Alone." Her smile disappeared. Something was wrong. The nurse stepped out, sensing the tension. I pulled a chair closer to Amanda's bed, my hands still shaking. "Amanda. I need to ask you something. And I want the truth." She blinked. "What's going on?" "You're acting weird." I took a deep breath. Does she belong to me?" Her eyes widened. "What kind of question is that?" "Of course she does." But she looked away as she said it. Amanda always had this tell, when she lied, she couldn't hold eye contact. And right now, she was staring at the floor, breathing hard. "Amanda," I said calmly, "look me in the eyes. And say it again." She opened her mouth, then closed it. The silence was louder than any answer. I knew something was off. I continued. "Your doctor appointments, you started going alone. You locked your phone. You started sleeping early or coming home late." Amanda started crying. "Please don't do this now. That baby's blood type, does it even match mine?" I snapped. "I may not be a doctor, but even I know what's not possible." She sobbed, her voice cracking. "It was a mistake. Just one night. I didn't even think I was pregnant until weeks later. I thought it was yours. I prayed it was yours." I stood up, stunned. My whole world felt like it cracked beneath my feet. "And now you expect me to sign that paper? To legally become the father of a child that isn't mine?" Her tears flowed. "Please. If you love me, love us, just sign it. No one ever has to know." I shook my head slowly. "No, Amanda. I won't live a lie." Then I walked out of the room, leaving her and her secret behind. That I stood in the hospital hallway, my fists clenched, my mind racing. I had just walked out on the woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. And now? I wasn't even sure I knew who she really was. A nurse passed by, holding a clipboard. "Sir, are you ready to sign the certificate now?" I gave her a look that made her freeze. "I'm not the father." She nodded slowly and walked away. I sat down in the corner, trying to breathe. But the pain hit like a truck. Not just betrayal, it was humiliation. I had been planning nursery colors while she was hiding someone else's baby inside her. Just then, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. A deep voice came through. Hey. I'm sorry to call like this. But I think we need to talk. About Amanda. My heart nearly stopped. Who is this? I asked. I'm James. I work with Amanda. Or, I used to. We had a thing. A while ago. I just found out she had the baby. I stood up, my jaw clenched. You're the father. I don't know. She never told me she was pregnant. But I've been wondering. She ghosted me after we, you know. I couldn't believe it. The truth wasn't just leaking, it was unraveling fast. She wanted me to sign the certificate, I said flatly. Man, don't. Don't take responsibility for something that isn't yours. If she tricked you, that's on her. Not you. That was it. Confirmation. A voice I didn't know, but one that carried the final nail in our marriage's coffin. I hung up and walked back into the room. Amanda looked up, tear-streaked and red-eyed. You came back, yeah, I said coldly. To say goodbye. She shook her head in panic. Please, we can fix this, you had a baby with another man, I said. And your first thought was to lie and make me raise it. That's not love. That's survival. And I won't be your backup plan. Her mouth opened, but I was already walking away. This time, for good 3 days had passed since the hospital. I hadn't answered a single call or message from Amanda. She sent everything from voice notes to long-winded apologies. But every word sounded like a plea to erase the truth, not face it. I was staying with my brother, who could tell something was off the moment I showed up with a duffel bag and empty eyes. You okay, man? He asked as we watched the sun set from his balcony. No, I admitted. She cheated. The baby isn't mine. And she still wanted me to sign the birth certificate like it was just paperwork. He shook his head slowly. That's next level messed up. The next morning, Amanda showed up. She was standing on my brother's porch, holding the baby in a carrier, looking exhausted and desperate. I just want to talk, she said quietly. Reluctantly, I stepped outside. She handed me a folded letter. I wrote everything. The truth. No lies. I opened it and began reading. It was her confession in ink, the affair, how long it lasted, how she ended it when she found out she was pregnant. She begged for forgiveness, even if I never came back. When I looked up, tears were streaming down her face. I'm not asking you to be her father, Amanda whispered. But I'm asking you to be human. Please don't hate her. She didn't ask for this. The baby stirred, as if sensing the tension. I glanced at her, and felt a knot twist in my stomach. I wasn't heartless. But I also wasn't a doormat. She's innocent, I said. But I won't sign a lie. I'm not her dad, Amanda. And I never will be. Amanda closed her eyes and nodded, as if those words were both expected, and unbearable. Then she turned and walked away. I watched them go, the woman I once loved, and the child that could have been ours. In another life, days turned into weeks. I returned to work, trying to bury myself in routine, but word had already spread. One morning, I walked into the office kitchen and felt the room go silent. My coworker, Liam, gave me a sympathetic nod. Man. I heard. Amanda's side of the story is making the rounds. I raised an eyebrow. What story? He sighed. She told people you abandoned her and the baby. That you freaked out and left. I clenched my jaw. Of course she did. It was classic damage control, twist the truth before it twisted her. I didn't want to get into a public battle. But I also wasn't about to let her destroy my reputation. So I did what I never thought I'd do, I told my side. I sat down that night, opened a blank post on social media, and wrote everything. No, I'm not the father of Amanda's baby. Yes, she asked me to sign the birth certificate anyway. And no, I didn't walk away because of fear. I walked away because I refused to live a lie. I kept it respectful. No names beyond my own. No hate. Just facts. Within an hour, it started spreading. By morning, I had over 2,000 comments, most of them supportive. One stood out: I went through the same thing. You did the right thing, man. Then came a private message. From James, the man Amanda had confessed about. Saw your post. Just got the paternity results back. She's mine. That one message hit like a punch and a strange relief all at once. It was over. Undeniably, officially, painfully over. But something told me Amanda wouldn't let it end quietly. That I thought the drama had ended with that message from James. Truth was out. The real father confirmed. I could finally move on. But Amanda had other plans. One rainy evening, just as I was settling in, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to find her standing there, drenched, eyes red, holding an envelope. I didn't know where else to go, she said quietly. I didn't move. You shouldn't be here. She stepped inside anyway, handing me the envelope. Before you throw me out, just read this. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a petition for custody acknowledgement. She was legally requesting I still be named as the child's father, claiming I'd acted as a parental figure. You've got to be kidding, I said, stunned. You're trying to make this legal. She broke down. James wants nothing to do with us. He said he never wanted kids. He blocked me. I don't know what to do. You're the only one who was ever stable. Please, I cut her off. So now I'm the safety net. Her voice cracked. I'm begging you. I'll never ask for anything again, I swear. Just, help me raise her. No courts, no pressure. Just us. It was manipulative. Desperate. And almost convincing, almost. But I wasn't the same man I was weeks ago. I handed the papers back to her. You lied. You used me. And now you're trying to trap me into fixing what you broke. She looked at me like a stranger. So that's it? You're just going to turn your back on a child? No, I said, voice steady. I'm turning my back on you. That baby deserves the truth, not a convenient replacement. She stood in silence for a long time, then left without another word. This time, I didn't look back. Amanda's surprise visit and the custody stunt had shaken me more than I wanted to admit. Even after all the lies, part of me still remembered the woman I married, the late-night talks, the dreams we built, the future we imagined. But those dreams were built on trust. And she had burned that to ashes. I decided to speak to a lawyer, just in case she tried anything again. After explaining the situation, the lawyer leaned back and said, "You're lucky you didn't sign that certificate. If you had, you'd be legally bound, regardless of biology." I nodded, silent. I wasn't just lucky. I had trusted my instincts. A few days later, I received an unexpected email. Subject, paternity hearing, James Weston vs. Amanda Lewis. Attached was a court order. Apparently, James, the real father, had changed his mind. And he was suing for full custody. I couldn't believe it. The man who ghosted her was now going after her in court. My phone buzzed a few minutes later. Amanda. I let it go to voicemail. I know you probably hate me, but I need your help. I need a witness. Someone who can tell the court I'm a good mother. Please, just this once. I listened in silence. Even now, after everything, she still thought I owed her something. I thought long and hard about what to do. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to punish her. But I wasn't about to be pulled into more drama, either. So I made a choice. I returned the call. You want my help in court? I said calmly. I'll come. But not to lie. I'll tell the truth. Silence. Then a shaky voice, okay. That's all I can ask. The hearing was just days away. And with it, one final chapter. The courtroom was cold, sterile, and tense. I sat in the back row, watching Amanda across the room. She looked nothing like the woman I once knew, thinner, pale, clearly worn down by sleepless nights and the weight of everything unraveling. Next to her sat her lawyer. Across the aisle was James, calm, collected, and dressed to impress, like he was at a job interview. His lawyer spoke with quiet confidence. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Then the hearing began. James' lawyer opened with a bold statement: Mr. Weston is the biological father of this child. Ms. Lewis knowingly hid the pregnancy from him, lied to her husband, and attempted to misrepresent paternity on official documents. This is not a case of parental rights. This is a case of fraud. Amanda's head dropped. Her lawyer tried to fight back, painting her as a scared, overwhelmed woman doing the best she could. And when it came time for witnesses, she looked straight at me as my name was called. I walked up, took the oath, and sat. Amanda's lawyer stepped forward. You were married to Amanda Lewis for how long? 5 years. Were you present at the birth of the child? Yes. Did you believe the child was yours at the time? No. I had suspicions the moment I saw her. The courtroom stirred. And did Amanda ask you to sign the birth certificate? Yes. And what was your response? I refused. Because she admitted the child wasn't mine. Gasps echoed across the room. Her lawyer tried to salvage it. Would you say Amanda is a good mother? I hesitated, then answered honestly. She loves her daughter. But she's made a lot of selfish decisions. Ones that could hurt that child in the long run. Amanda looked like she had been punched in the gut. When I stepped down, James's lawyer called me again, this time, just for one question. Would you be willing to take custody of the child if the court ruled against both parties? I froze. Amanda looked at me with wide, pleading eyes. I turned to the judge. No. I'm not the father. And I won't build my life around someone else's deception. And that was that. The judge adjourned for a decision. Everyone sat in silence as the judge returned. She looked over the papers in front of her, then cleared her throat. After reviewing the testimony, evidence, and submitted statements, the court finds that Ms. Amanda Lewis did, in fact, mislead both men regarding the paternity and legal responsibility of the child in question. Amanda stared down at her hands, trembling. Mr. James Weston is confirmed as the biological father and has expressed willingness and capability to assume full parental responsibility. Therefore, the court grants primary custody to Mr. Weston, with supervised visitation rights for Ms. Lewis, pending parenting classes and psychological evaluation. The gavel came down with a loud thud. Amanda gasped. It was the sound of her world collapsing. She stood up. Please, Your Honor, she's my daughter. I raised her. He wasn't even there. The judge looked at her calmly. And yet, he didn't lie about who he was to this child. You did. This isn't punishment. It's protection. Amanda broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Her lawyer tried to calm her, but she was inconsolable. James looked stunned, but nodded respectfully to the judge. As I walked toward the exit, Amanda caught up with me in the hallway. You told the truth, she choked out. You always told the truth. I looked at her, this broken version of the woman who once promised me forever. Maybe if you had done the same, I said gently, none of us would be here. She nodded slowly. I ruined everything. I hope you fix it, I replied. For her sake. And then I left. For the first time in months. I felt free. Weeks passed. The courtroom chaos faded, but the scars it left behind were still fresh. I moved into a new apartment, no shared closets, no hidden pain behind bedroom doors, no reminders of nursery plans that would never be. Just peace. Quiet. And space to breathe. One day, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Amanda. I know you don't owe me anything. But I needed you to know. I'm not fighting James anymore. I agreed to his terms. She deserves stability. And I'm getting help, therapy, parenting classes, the whole thing. I don't expect you to believe in me. But I'm finally trying to be someone who doesn't lie to survive. Thank you for walking away. It forced me to face who I really was. I read it twice. Then folded it and put it away. Not out of forgiveness, but closure. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't feel betrayed either. I just let go. A few days later, I bumped into James at a grocery store, of all places. He was holding a diaper bag and looked exhausted. He saw me, smiled faintly, and nodded. She started crawling. I smiled back. That's fast. He hesitated. Listen. I know I'm the last guy you want to grab a beer with, but, if you ever do, I owe you one. I considered it for a second. Then chuckled. Maybe someday. We both laughed. Two strangers tangled in the same storm, now finally stepping out of it. As I drove home that night, the sunset was golden, and the road felt wide open. No more lies. No more traps. Just a future I could finally choose. Life had finally settled. No surprise knocks on my door. No panic-inducing messages. Just stillness, the kind you only notice when the chaos finally ends. For the first time in a long while, I started doing things for me again. I signed up for a boxing class. Started hiking on weekends. Reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in months because I'd been too busy pretending everything at home was fine. People noticed the difference. My brother even joked, "You're starting to look human again." Then came something unexpected, an invitation. A mutual friend, Danielle, was hosting a small get-together. She messaged me, "Hey, Amanda won't be there. I promise. You should come." I hesitated. Not because I was afraid to see people, but because I wasn't sure if I was ready to talk about everything yet. But I went. The night was casual, a few laughs, drinks, and familiar faces. No judgment. No awkward questions. Just good company. Halfway through the night, Danielle sat beside me. "You know. I always thought you two were perfect." I gave her a sad smile. "So did I. But perfect doesn't mean honest." She nodded. "I'm glad you're okay. Really." Then she leaned in and added, "And, there's someone I think you should meet." I laughed. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But deep down, I knew I was healing. Slowly. Quietly. And fully. No longer someone's backup plan. No longer trapped by a lie dressed as love. Just a man who chose truth, and found peace. 6 months later, everything had changed, and yet, in the best way, nothing felt chaotic anymore. I had built a new rhythm. Work. Friends. My evening runs. Late-night books instead of late-night arguments. Life wasn't loud. It wasn't perfect. But it was real, and it was mine. Amanda and I hadn't spoken since the letter. No texts. No awkward run-ins. It was like the chapter had truly closed. Until one Sunday afternoon, I found myself at the park. It was unplanned. I just needed some fresh air. I sat on a bench near the playground, watching the breeze rustle through the trees, when I saw them, James and the baby. She had grown so much. Her little curls bounced as she giggled and waddled in the grass. James looked exhausted, but happy. He spotted me and smiled, giving a small wave. I nodded back. He picked her up and walked over. "You want to say hi?" he asked, gently. I looked at her, those curious eyes, so full of life. "Hi," I said softly, offering a finger. She grabbed it immediately and laughed. "She doesn't know what happened," James said. "She never will. She'll just know she was wanted." I nodded. "That's all that matters." We stood there for a quiet moment, two men bound by a past neither asked for, but both survived. Then I walked away. No bitterness. No anger. Just peace. Because sometimes, strength isn't holding on. It's letting go.